Hey everybody, it is Bethany from Mercury Essential Tarot. I started to do this video last night and I was having major electronic issues. So I ended up just stopping it after a while because it was just like, no matter what I did, it was just not going to work. So I think that, the Mercury Retrograde was kicking my butt last night. So yeah, so we're going to go ahead and give this another try today. I'd actually gotten quite a ways into it when the whole thing sort of went kaplooey. So we will try and go through that energy again today. There has been a lot of energy around. So we're going to talk about that this morning. First thing I want to talk about is, of course, the thing that's been on all of our minds. And that is the Brian Laundrie. Where is he? Honestly, there's been so much involvement with it. I was watching something this morning. They were talking about him being on the Appalachian Trail. He's a very skilled survivalist. As far as he has been known to spend months on the Appalachian Trail by himself. This is not something new to him. So surviving, he right now he's just looking to outlast everybody looking for him. That's what he's hoping for. And do I think he's still alive? Yeah, I think he's still alive. He's not the personality to kill himself. Not unless he has to. That's how his energy comes across when I can get it. He's very good at shielding his energy. So we're using my cards today. We're going to use my Ruin cards. These are cards that I have made myself. And they are based off of Norse and Viking ruins. Ruin stones. It's the same thing as ruin stones. Just I have the descriptions on the cards. We're gonna try that again. Newer cards. Okay. So as I mentioned before, when I use these cards, there is an upside and a downside to most of the cards. There are some that only can be read one way. And we will give this a try. So Brian Laundrie. How do we want to phrase this? Will Brian Laundrie be caught within the next week? Will Brian Laundrie be caught within the next week? Will Brian Laundrie be caught within the next week? This one came out sideways, so that doesn't really help a whole lot, except it came out sideways. So, see, there's a mark on this. This is the ruined stone number. This is what it signifies here. This is how you read it if it comes up this way, and of course with the other way. So we're going to take a look at this. This one is Freya or Freyr. It can represent both. It's an Aries energy, and it's called Fehu. It overall simplifies wealth and cattle, which I'm not sure that has a whole lot of energy in this one. So this came through sideways. We're going to read it sideways. If it were upright, it would be prosperity, status, value, power, and creative force. If it's upside down, it's financial worries, losing value. So he's worried about this. He's worried about money and surviving with money. So I think there has been money that has supported him going into this. His parents obviously helped him So I think that that's his concern right now, is a lack of funds wherever he is. Like I said, though, he is skilled at what he does, but they're being watched every bit as they're being watched. All right, so this one is a card that, goodness, I'm telling you, it's those energies. I've had really good energies and really weird energies. So yeah, this one, just disregard that. That's just my smudging here. This actually is a blank one that symbolizes fate, causality, beyond decipher, and big issue. Pretty fitting. It has come up for him before. We are talking about where his fate stands. It looks like it right now. It's still in hanging in the balance. It is a card you read only one way. There is no downside to that one. So it's looking at things are still in play that will, free will. And the last one I'm going to pull on this is, I don't know if you can, how well you can see that, Nothis, and I'm saying these wrong and I apologize. It's a fire energy. It's a Capricorn Scorpio, which is him, by the way. It is read in the upright position. Means endurance, restriction, desire, needs, self-imposed obstacles, and limitations. So he is definitely feeling the right now, this would signify what he is feeling. So he's feeling the restrictions that are being placed on his movements because he's afraid he's going to get caught. Everybody is looking for him, but again, it's still up in the air. I do feel like there's some movement for him. He's not where he was because he knows he can't stay there. You know, Dog the Bounty Hunter, it certainly did shake things up. So he couldn't stay where he was. Somebody had mentioned to me that they thought that people were more likely to talk to Dog than they were to the FBI, and I really think that's the truth. He's sort of the bull in the china shop. You know, he comes in and people feel he's relatable, so they're more likely to tell him things that they wouldn't tell a guy in a suit who's, you know, has no idea where they're coming from. So yeah, he is more likely to find out information. All right. So the last one I pulled was this one. And this is Burkano. Again, messing this up. It is a Pisces Virgo energy. It means birch or trees. And it says beginnings, fertility, birth, growth, and creativity. So I would say he's moving on to greener pastures. That's what it looks like to me. Or moving on to something that he feels is safer. I really do feel like he's headed for the Appalachian Trail, one way or the other. I mean, you figure... He doesn't want to come north, though. I mean, but he could probably spend time in those mountains for you know, people have been known to disappear on the Appalachian Trail. And I think that's what he's really hoping for, is that he's going to be able to disappear. So yeah, so that's what we're going to do. That's enough Brian for today. So I did want to talk about John Colt. Now, I mentioned him in a previous video where I was talking about he was the man who he was in prison in Kansas. He went up for release and they deemed him too dangerous to be released into the general public. They put him in a psychiatric prison to continue because he was disturbed and he disappeared. But the thing about him is his energy, and I try not to channel into it because he's super, super smart. You know, there are things about this guy that he actually calculated. His escape was as good of a calculation as them escaping from Alcatraz. If you've ever looked into that at all. I mean, this man got a hold of a badge of a doctor. He had a copy of it. And from there, he got clothes that looked like a doctor. He convinced one of the guards that he was new to the facility and couldn't find his way out. He made his way out through 5 gates to escape this facility. Then once he was outside, he had somebody who had bought him a motorcycle, and he managed to get that. And he was just apprehended 2 days ago. He was apprehended after I started talking about him. So the FBI didn't release any of this information until this whole Gabby thing brought light onto the fact that there were a lot of missing people in the Midwest who, you know, there was not a lot being done. And John Colt was apprehended in Moab. Do I think he had anything to do with the Gabby Petito case? No. Do I believe that he may have had something to do with Crystal Turner and Kylie Schultz murders? I think that there's a definite possibility. He is the type of person who doesn't come across as being disturbed until you really get close to him. So he's not going to appear as someone who isn't maybe visibly a little bit off until 2 or 3 times after you start to see more of him and understand more of what's going on there. So I think, and I had said this the other day, I felt like whoever attacked them was someone who had had interaction with them, and it had been a small interaction. It was something that, you know, either I get the feeling that he had been to where they worked for whatever reason, and then he had maybe seen them one other time, but once he saw them, he was very drawn to the situation, and he started watching them. And there's been a lot of talk about them. They had mentioned to a friend shortly before they were killed that there was a creepy man in their camping area that they were going to have to move. They did not give description of it, but there was discussion about this man. And then, of course, they were killed, and their bodies were found a few days after they were killed. So I guess now the focus is on whether John Colt had anything to do with Crystal and Kylie's murder. So I wanted to draw some cards on that. So we'll go ahead and do that now. Their energy to me seems like that of someone who would be very accepting of people in any circumstance, and so they may not have noticed his true nature, unfortunately, until it was too late. Crystal Kylie's murder was John Colt. Was John Colt responsible for Crystal and Kylie's murder? Colt. Solitude. This is the enchanted map. Awareness of your surroundings. Calculating, coming to life. He waited till they were alone. He made him aware of the situation. He advanced quickly. They were remote. This is balancing act, but I always sort of focus on this. It feels to me like it's the watching. It's the waiting for the right time. There was some discussion between Kylie and Crystal. They were something between them. I don't know if it was that one wanted to move site, the other one didn't, was hesitant to. It feels like there was this, and it wasn't a huge argument, but there was some sort of a disagreement between the two of them, that they were, it sort of set them at odds a little bit. Transformation, metamorphosis, and riding the wave. I think that's why they didn't act as quickly about moving as they should have. Like, one of them wanted to move right away and the other one didn't want to move right away. They wanted to give it a little bit of time. And so they were kind of at odds, feeling uncomfortable. It's a situation. I feel like they were very aware of the energy that was around them. But they let it go for whatever reason. And that ended up in them crossing. Of course, that doesn't tell us if John Colt was involved with it. I don't know. My initial hits on this were that there was someone who was somewhat south of them. And I want to say closer to Colorado. So I'm not sure if he had ties to Colorado, but I'm seeing straight down. So I think maybe there, you know, that was someone in that area at that time. I will continue to read on that, but I'm not getting a definite yes or no in there. I did see that situation leading up to that, but yeah. Okay. So we had somebody ask about shortages. The shortages that are going on in the United States. If you haven't been on it, everybody's talking about the prices of goods rising. There's shortage of food in some places. How much of this is true? How much of this is orchestrated, and if so, why? So I know that there are ships that are waiting off of both coasts to be taken in, and for whatever reason they're not coming in, and I don't think, some of it's got to do with the sheer politics, honestly. Some of it has got to do with the tape involved in it. Some of it has to do with just being backlogged. Some of it has to do with the fire. So it's sort of like a perfect storm of a situation. I do know that there are, when we talk about shortages of meats, I know that part of that was because with the dreaded C word that came out, a lot of the meat packing facilities weren't able to operate as needed. So when it came time, and you have windows, there are very few of these meat packing facilities compared to how much needs to be processed. And they did not have the help because of the C word. And so that put them severely behind. I know I was watching a farmer in Wyoming, and he was talking, he has a large scale facility that he does, and he processes beef. And he was saying that, you know, normally they can get them in within 3 or 4 months. And in this case, it was 11 months before he could get, I think it was hogs he was processing. So he was not able to get them in right away. So there is some of that. We are still coming through this cycle. But the shortage has to do with supply chain as far as, I don't think it's a shortage of food. I think it's a shortage of manpower. And I think some of it is still red tape. It's, or I put some blue tape before, but I think it's red tape. So we're going to read on that, the shortages. Oops. So it is going to be fixing. We have enough. We currently have enough. We just, you know, there's something that happens in fall where we all try to, at least around my house we tend to start thinking about stocking up for winter, getting things you need done, getting everything set. And I think that that's part of the mentality that's creating this shortage feeling, so to speak. Is there a shortage of toilet paper? No, there's not a shortage of toilet paper. And honest to goodness, people, do you really need 6 things of toilet paper? Okay. So we're being influenced by something that is outside of the country, whether that is the C word affecting other countries and their production of things. I know that there are some industries like the car industry that are having problem getting chips and things that they need for cars. The RV industry, they are missing pieces that they used as components that are bought overseas. So that dependence on overseas is affecting it, because that C word is affecting them. And like us, they're still regaining strength and getting back into it. There's a lot of infighting. There's a lot of politics involved in this, and there's a lot of backfighting. And some of this is meant to create a panic. It feels like it's meant to stir the pot a little bit. So yeah, so there is that. Yes, it's this sort of foolishness that's out there. People presenting it as sort of a foolish. People are in a panic almost over it. So, but the truth is coming through. We'll get the truth on that. And it will be, I hear, equitable. All right, so that is it for the shortages. Let's see if there's anything else we've done. We've talked about retrograde. You know, it definitely, it feels like stagnation to me. It's almost like this, Mercury always sort of feels like this. It's like being stuck in mud. Like you can make your way through, but it's going to be hard. It's not going to be easy. So yeah, so keep that in mind. We do have, as I said, several planets that are going to be going direct by the 18th, I think, including Mercury. So that will make a difference on that. But for now, we will go ahead and leave it at this. If you have any questions you want me to read on, somebody had asked me about the vaccine, but I wasn't quite sure where they wanted me to focus on that. If they have something specific that they want me to ask, I can focus on that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and we will do one of the Shaman's Dream cards. We'll do it as a card for today. What do we need to know for energy for today? Grace and generosity. Grace is my absolute favorite word. I've said this before. Grace is that thing, grace, benevolence, generosity, paying it forward. Do that for other people, kindness, all of those things. All right. So I hope this helps for today. I hope you all are well, and stay safe, stay warm. Stay warm. I'm cold today. I'm sending you blessings from Maine. Bye-bye.